I've helped collectors buy and sell millions in rare collectibles. The sale prices in this video are all backed by real data from top auction houses like Heritage Auctions. I know what makes coins and currency valuable, and today I'll break it down for you. In this video, we're going to be going over some of the most expensive $100 bills ever. Now listen, I get it. $100 is a lot of money, but when we go over some of the bills in this video, you're going to be blown away by just how much money they are selling for. And I'm going to show you what to look for on your $100 bill. So let's hop into it with this big face Benji right here that sold for $7,200. So first of all, you need to understand that this bill was from series 2006. So on the bill at the bottom left hand side of the portrait of Benjamin, you will see it says series of 2006A. So a series, when it comes to paper money, doesn't necessarily mean it was produced in that year. That's important because this series 2006 could have been printed in 2006, 2007, 2008, etc. until the BEP, which is the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, which prints paper money, decides to change the series. So the biggest reason why this bill sold for $7,200 is really going to come down to the serial number. So the more unique and rare your serial number is on your $100 bill, generally speaking, the more money it's going to bring in auction. You can see this is what collectors call a solid number 1 serial number. Very cool. You can have a solid number 2, solid number 3, solid number 8 is very popular, and there's tons of other really rare and unique serial numbers out there for you to look for. That in combination of the grade of a 66, which means there is not a single fold on this bill, allowed this $100 bill to sell for $7,200. Something a bit unique here. So someone back in the late 90s, this one's from series 1996, got a pack of $100 bills for a face value of $10,000. And the serial numbers are in consecutive order, meaning that the last digit is going to go from 201 to 202, 203, etc., all the way to 300 there at the last 3 digits of the serial number. What you need to know is that someone had a pack of these with a face value of $10,000. They were able to sell it for $12,000. All right, a few things going on with this one. First of all, this is a genuine United States $100 bill. I'm sure some of us are familiar with these smaller faced Benjamin $100 bills, but why is the serial number and the seal red? What is that all about? So back in 1966, the US made what we call US legal tender notes. So these are still fully legal tender, which means you could technically spend it anywhere today. Now taking a step back, this has another layer of complexity which allowed it to sell for $13,200, and that is the fact that it's a specimen note. So specimen notes in the US are extremely rare and highly sought after. So technically what a specimen note really is a note that is not meant to go out into circulation. It's not meant to be in anyone's hands. It is mainly meant to be served as a genuine example of the bill. It's a specimen. It's an example. Back in the day, the US would use specimen notes to give to countries around the world that accepted US legal tender bills like this. Now, the banks would have these specimen notes to say, hey, this is what a genuine example of this bill looked like. So if they got a bill in from a customer and it looked a bit shady, they could compare it to a specimen note. Today, these specimen notes are incredibly collectible, and that allowed this banknote to sell for $13,200. If you have a specimen note, please keep it very safe. Don't fold it. Make sure you contact a rare currency expert. Do not go to a pawn shop. They will rip you off. Be careful out there. $15,600. So I'm a big fan of these relatively new $100 bills that have the big blue security strip going down the center, and you just have a really beautiful banknote overall. You know, the US has been known to keep their banknotes relatively boring in my experience compared to paper money from around the world. Is very colorful, very beautiful. The US is kind of pigeonholed into a very structured banknote type, but more on that in a different video. What's very important about this one that sold for $15,600 is going to be on the back of the bill. So the back bottom right hand side, you're going to see what's called a backplate number. That backplate number is important for internal bookkeeping purposes to say, hey, this back was supposed to go to the front of this bill. So what can be important on paper money is the size of the backplate number. Now the actual number on the back does not matter, so don't worry about that, but the size, comparing the size to the front can be very, very important. So the front plate position is located in 2 different areas on this $100 bill. You've got the top right side, there's a plate position, and the top left side. Now the top left side, you're going to see a small FW before the plate position. The FW stands for Fort Worth, Texas, where this banknote was produced. If you have no FW on your banknote, that means it was made at the Washington, D.C. facility. In the United States, there are only 2 places that the U.S. makes paper money, and it's those 2 places. But you may be asking yourself, James, why did it sell for $15,600? It mainly comes down to the serial number. So in this print run, this was the first serial number for the print run. You can see there's a serial number 1. Serial number 1 bills are so collectible, and they fetch a hefty premium in auction. So if you find one, keep your eyes peeled because they're going to bring a lot of money for you. $16,800. This is an old school $100 bill, nearly 100 years old, which is just mind-blowing. So a very fun fact here is that before 1928, all US paper money was what we call large size. So the paper money was much larger than this. 1928 was the first year of issue for small size paper money that could very easily fit in our wallet or our purse without any problem. So 1928 can be a very special date if you have what you see on the screen right now, which is what I'm going to go over. So this is a 1928 $100 bill, numeral type star note. So let's break that down very quickly. On the left-hand side, you're going to see a large number 9. Typically, you're going to see a letter there. If you see a number, then you have what's called a numeral type. Now, you're also going to see the number 9 in 4 different locations around the bill. That is the district number. That is always going to be there, and that number is either going to be a 1 all the way through a number 12. The number 9 stands for Minneapolis, which also correlates to I, which is the 9th letter in the alphabet. Now, you'll notice the first letter in the serial number is also an I. That is no coincidence that the start of the serial number is an I, which is the 9th letter in the alphabet. For example, instead of the district number being a 9, that was a 1, then the serial number would start with an A. If it was a 2, serial number would start with a B, 3, C, etc., all the way to 12, which is L. So why is that important? Make sure that number always matches the start of the serial number's location in the alphabet. So for example, if you have a 9, but the start of the serial number is an A, that is a huge mistake and it can be worth a lot of money. I hope I explained that clearly, but just understand that whatever number you have, think about what number that is in the alphabet. You can only have 1 through 12. But the last thing I want to talk about is the star at the end of the serial number. Essentially, what a star means is that during the printing process, the US makes a bunch of star notes just in case there are errors in a printing run. That way they can replace the misprints with star notes. Now, star notes can be more rare and valuable depending on how many stars they actually produced for a specific print run. Just know that some people love star notes just because they're kind of cool. I'm one of those people, and that's why this bill was able to sell for $16,800. 19,200 buckaroos for this big face Benji. This is a 2017 $100 bill with a solid number 8 serial number. So it's really important to understand that the number 8 in a lot of cultures and countries around the world is actually a very lucky number. You'll see places like in Shanghai, people driving around with license plates with 8s on them, and those license plates are not cheap. You know, they're typically driving a Lamborghini or Ferrari with 8s on their license plates. The license plates alone cost millions of dollars. It's just insane. All you gotta know is that serial number 8 or solid number 8s, either of them, are very rare, very valuable. People want those 8s. That's why this $100 bill is able to sell for $19,200. $66,000 for this 1929 Federal Reserve banknote of Chicago. So these banknotes from 1929 are going to have a brown seal and brown serial numbers. What makes this bill so rare and valuable is a few things. First of all, the grade, very, very high. That means there's no folds on the bill whatsoever. This is also a star note, so the star at the end of the serial number makes this one really, really rare. Also, this is called some people would say it's a birthday note because the serial number is a year. That's kind of cool, right? It says 1998. Pretty collectible. If you have a highly graded star note from the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, this one is going to be right up your alley because $66,000. $223,250 for this $100 bill. So this is a genuine United States gold certificate $100 bill star note from 1928. One of my favorite types of bills here because you have that yellowish gold seal and serial number, which makes this bill super, super collectible. So what's the story with this $100 bill? Essentially, what you got to know is that back in the day, you could actually get a bill like this, bring it to your local bank, and they would give you equal value of gold. This is when the gold standard still existed, which was one of my favorite times in history for the US because our paper money was actually backed by a precious metal. You also have silver certificates, not for the $100 bill, but you've got $1 bills, $10 bills that are silver certificates. Pretty much the same thing, right? You could bring the bill in, get silver back in exchange for your paper money. What makes this bill so unique and valuable is going to be that star. Remember, star stars can increase the value a lot on your bill. In combination of the high grade of a 63, so it would have graded higher. There's probably some handling on the bill, which is a bit of rippling that can occur if it's handled improperly, in combination with the centering. So if you see the margins, they're very tight, very thin, but the more equally centered the bill is, the higher the grade can go when it comes to the uncirculated grade. All you gotta know is that if you come across one of these 1928 Star Note gold certificates, even if it's not a star, these higher denomination gold certificates are very collectible, very sought after. People want to get their hands on them, especially these ultra wealthy collectors that just have money to blow. I mean, almost $250,000 here for this $100 bill. Insane. Guys, if you haven't done it already, we made a completely free ebook down below. Check that out. It would mean the world if you hit the subscribe button. We will see you in the next video.